Morning in Portland, Oregon. Thin winter light along the oak floors, a kettle hissing, Emily Carter reading the to-do list for her father's charity gala, pretending routine could hold what grief would break. The phone rang. She stared at the screen a beat too long, then answered. "Ms. Carter, I'm sorry. Your father's plane went down over the Rockies. There were no survivors." The cup slipped. Porcelain shattered. For a second, the world forgot how to breathe. Richard Carter, steel magnate, Saturday morning pancake maker, the man who signed letters with "Proud of you, kiddo," was gone. Neighbors would later say the day felt colder. Emily only noticed the photo on the hall table. Hard hats, a factory catwalk, her father's arm around her. She pressed a thumb to the glass as if the moment might come back if she held it still enough. By afternoon, the house filled with low voices and lilies. Ryan Bennett, her husband, took calls, made lists, stood close. "I've got you, Em," he said into her hair. "We'll do this one step at a time." His smile tried to be the old one, but something flickered behind his eyes, quick as a shadow. His mother arrived in a cream coat and pearls, Evelyn Bennett, soft voice, precise movements, a way of taking charge that felt like help until it didn't. She kissed Emily's cheek, held it a second too long. "You poor thing," she murmured. "Let me handle arrangements. Transitions can be destabilizing." She said it like a memo. The funeral came with winter sun and the hush of camera shutters. Eulogies spoke of empire and philanthropy. Emily heard only her father's last voicemail. "Big week coming. Keep your center." At the grave, Ryan's fingers threaded through hers. She let them. Evelyn stood just behind, chin lifted, dry-eyed, unmovable as marble. 2 weeks later, the will was read at Lewis and Ames, LLP, dark wood, a brass clock, someone's shoes ticking across a distant hallway. "Ms. Carter," the attorney said, voice steady, "you are the sole heir to Mr. Carter's personal and corporate holdings, including majority shares in Carter Industries." The words landed like a mountain appearing out of fog. Emily nodded once. Ryan's palm pressed warm against her knee under the table, reassuring, and also, somehow, measuring. "We'll take pressure off while you grieve," he whispered. Evelyn folded her hands, pearls neat against her wrist. "Stewardship requires caution," she offered. "Temporary delegation can protect value until emotions settle." Her glance slid to Ryan and back, a suggestion dressed as concern. "I'll honor my father's plan," Emily said. "No quick decisions." Papers rustled, pens clicked, condolences repeated, polite, practiced, useless. That night, the house exhaled. Emily walked to her father's study. Cedar, old leather, a wall of awards. A small frame beneath them held his handwriting. "Build it strong enough to carry someone else's weight." She traced the ink. "I'm trying," she whispered, "but everything's heavier without you." Her phone buzzed. Board introductions, press requests, casserole logistics. A text from Ryan in the guest room. "You need rest. I'll coordinate with the bank in the morning. Love you." She stared at the bank longer than at "love you." Another ping from an unknown number. "Ms. Carter, please confirm you're safe. We represent parties with concerns for your well-being." She typed wrong number, then deleted and let the message sit there like a bad draft. She made tea she didn't drink. At the window, across the street, a dark sedan idled. Headlights off, engine humming. Ride share? Neighbor? Nothing? She told herself not to invent ghosts. Back at the desk, she opened her father's ledger, cash cycles in his neat hand, a margin note. Teach her this in spring. Spring felt far away. She closed the book and let the city's quiet climb the walls. Close to midnight, a soft sound downstairs. Another. The house answered with a pipe's groan, a baseboard click, the 1,000 small noises of an old frame holding. Her phone lit again. Same unknown number. Please respond before this escalates. She set the phone face down. In the mirror over the mantel, she almost recognized herself. Good suit, tired eyes, a spine that refused to quit. She practiced, "I'm fine," and didn't believe it, then inhaled, slow, like a diver before cold water. The sedan idled 17 more minutes, then ghosted away. In bed, she replayed her father's pencil and string demonstration of a beam under load. Redundancy, he'd said, smiling. When one support fails, something else holds until you can repair the span. Emily whispered it into the dark. Hold, repair, hold, until sleep took her. Morning would bring boardrooms, signatures, and a decision she wouldn't see coming, set in motion the second she became sole heir. By the time she recognized the shape of the net, it would already be tightening. But not yet. Tonight, the city breathed, and somewhere under the wreckage, a single wire in Emily Carter held. The next morning began with sirens in Emily's head. Not from outside, from the noise that panic makes when it finally finds air. She remembered men in scrubs, white van doors slamming, Ryan shouting that everything would be okay, then needles, then dark. When light returned, she was lying in a narrow bed beneath a buzzing fluorescent tube. A bracelet on her wrist read, "Patient, Dabra 2417. Carter, Emily." The door clicked open. A tall man in a lab coat stepped in. "Ms. Carter, I'm Dr. Paul Reynolds. You're in a private wellness facility. You're safe." His tone was gentle, but it carried the certainty of someone reading from a script. Emily forced her voice steady. "I didn't check in here. Why am I here?" He smiled thinly. "Your husband was worried after your father's passing. He feared you might harm yourself. We're here to help. Help." The word landed like ice. She demanded a phone. They handed her pills instead. Refuse, and a nurse waited until she swallowed. Within minutes, her thoughts blurred. Time loosened. Hours folded into one long gray hum. When she woke again, the window was painted shut, her limbs heavy, tongue dry, mind cottoned. She tried to stand, the world tilted sideways. Someone knocked. A woman entered carrying a tray and a half smile. Dark hair, sharp eyes, maybe 30. "Breakfast?" she said. "You'll want to eat before meds." Emily stared. "Who are you?" "Lily," the woman murmured. "I've been here longer than I should." She glanced at the camera in the corner. "Keep your voice low. They like to call people crazy when they start asking why." That night, Emily couldn't sleep. Voices drifted down the hall. Orders, keys, the hiss of locks. Somewhere a patient cried until the sound stopped. She pressed her palms to her temples and whispered her father's mantra. Hold, repair, hold. Days passed, or maybe weeks. Each morning, pills, tray, inspection. Each evening, dreams stitched with static. Then Lily sat beside her at dinner and spoke without moving her lips. "This place isn't about healing, it's about erasing. Someone paid for you to disappear." Emily's spoon froze midway. Her pulse hammered so loud she was sure the cameras could hear. "Paid? Who?" she whispered. Lily's gaze hardened. "Your husband, and the woman who visits him on Tuesdays in the black car." Evelyn. The name struck like electricity. For the first time since the sedatives, Emily felt her mind sharpen. Lily leaned closer. "I've escaped before. They always bring me back. But I know the schedule, the guards, the blind spots. If you want to live, you listen." Emily looked at the locked door, at the blank beige walls, at the life stolen while she slept. Then she nodded once. "Tell me everything." Days turned into a slow blur of measured footsteps and locked doors. Emily learned the rhythm of the place, when the nurses changed shifts, when the guards got lazy, when the hallway cameras blinked from red to green. Lily taught her quietly during mealtimes, voices low, smiles practiced. Every word was a whisper balanced on danger. Timing. Lily said one afternoon, stirring watery soup. That's everything here. 2 guards at night, one sleeps through his round, the other watches the monitors until 2 a.m., then steps outside to smoke. She drew a tiny map in mashed potatoes, corridors, gates, the maintenance door behind the laundry wing. That's our way out. Emily's heart thudded. You've tried before? Twice, Lily replied. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. 3rd time's supposed to be lucky. Emily hesitated. And if we're caught? They'll drug us until we forget our own names, Lily said flatly. So we won't get caught. That night. Emily lay awake, staring at the ceiling cracks forming a map of their own. Her father's voice echoed in memory. When one support fails, build another. She clenched her fists. I will not disappear, she whispered into the dark. 2 nights later, the plan began. Dinner trays clattered, lights dimmed. At midnight, a crash rang out from the nurse's station. Lily's distraction. Metal trays, glass shattering, alarms half-triggered before silence swallowed them again. Emily slipped from her room, a stolen key card in her hand. Her pulse drummed in her ears as she crept down the corridor. Every shadow felt alive. Every sound stretched too long. She reached the maintenance door, old, rusted, exactly where Lily said. Footsteps echoed behind her. Lily appeared, hair disheveled, eyes fierce. Go, she hissed. Now. They pushed the door open. Cold air slapped their faces, real air, sharp and alive. The fence loomed ahead, chain link glinting under the floodlight. Climb, Lily whispered. Emily grabbed the wire, fingers burning, muscles screaming. Behind her, shouts erupted, guards running, flashlights cutting through the dark. Keep going, Emily, Lily shouted. Don't stop! Emily reached the top, scraped palms raw, pulled herself over. She hit the ground hard, rolled, gasping. A flashlight beam found Lily. Stop! Someone yelled. Lily turned once, eyes meeting Emily's across the fence. Run! Then hands seized her, dragging her back inside. Emily wanted to scream, but sound wouldn't come. Her legs moved before her mind caught up, through trees, across gravel, into the night. She didn't stop until her lungs burned, and the facility was only a blur of light behind her. Free, but alone. And somewhere inside those walls, Lily's defiance echoed like a promise. Keep running. The night swallowed her whole. Cold wind bit through her thin hospital clothes as Emily stumbled down a dirt road, barefoot, shaking, half-drugged, but free. The world outside didn't look like salvation. It looked endless. Every car that passed sent her diving into the shadows. Every noise felt like footsteps chasing her. Her body trembled from exhaustion, the sedatives still clinging to her bloodstream like ghosts. By dawn, she found herself behind a gas station on the edge of Salem, Oregon. She scavenged a discarded hoodie from a donation bin, pulled it tight, and hid until the sun burned away the frost. Her father's name echoed in her head. Carter Industries. Home didn't exist anymore. Ryan and Evelyn had seen to that. She needed someone who wouldn't ask questions, someone loyal to her father, not to her husband. Then she remembered Mark Lewis, her father's old business advisor. A good man, cautious, private, the kind who still believed in handshakes. But she had no phone, no ID, no money, just fear. At noon, she gathered enough courage to beg for change outside a convenience store. Humiliation burned her throat as people avoided her eyes. After 2 hours, she had enough for a single call. Inside the store's dusty payphone booth, she dialed the number she still remembered from years ago. Carter Industries' main office. Good morning, Carter Industries. How may I direct your call? Her voice cracked. Hi, this is Anna Collins. I need to speak with Mark Lewis immediately. It's urgent. The receptionist hesitated. And you're calling from? Just tell him it's about Richard Carter's estate, Emily said, forcing her tone steady. A click, then silence, then the familiar calm voice of Mark. "This is Mark Lewis speaking." Her breath hitched. "Mark, it's me. Emily." "Emily," he said slowly. "Everyone thought you—" "I don't have time," she cut in. "I escaped from a mental facility. They locked me away using fake papers. Ryan and Evelyn did this. I need help." He didn't speak for several seconds. She could hear the faint sound of him exhaling. "Where are you?" "I can't tell you. They might be tracking—" She paused, glancing out the glass booth at a car that seemed to slow as it passed. "Please, meet me somewhere safe." "Okay," he said finally. "Riverside Park, near the bridge. Sunset. I'll be alone." When the line went dead, Emily pressed her forehead to the glass and exhaled shakily. For the first time in weeks, she had a direction. Hours later, she hid near the park, heart racing at every passing jogger. When Mark arrived, his face went pale. "My God, Emily, you look—" "Don't," she whispered. "Please don't say it." They sat on a bench beneath the bridge's shadow. She told him everything: the van, the drugs, the lies, Lily's sacrifice. By the time she finished, Mark's hands were fists on his knees. "I believe you," he said. "And if what you're saying is true, they won't stop until they own everything your father built." Emily's throat tightened. "Then help me stop them." He nodded. "I know someone who can dig deeper, quietly." She stared at him, eyes raw, voice trembling. "I just want my life back, Mark." "You will," he said. "But we need proof first." As the sun bled into the Willamette River, Emily followed him to a small cabin outside the city, a hidden place her father had used for private meetings. Mark opened the door, letting her step inside the quiet, wood-scented room. "You're safe here," he said softly. "Rest. Tomorrow we start finding answers." Emily leaned against the doorway, every muscle aching, her heart heavy but still beating. For the first time since her father's death, she believed him. The next morning, sunlight streamed through thin cabin curtains. For the first time in weeks, Emily woke up in silence that didn't hum with machines or keys. The air smelled like pine and old wood. For a moment, she almost forgot where she was. Then, everything rushed back: the asylum, Lily's scream, Ryan's betrayal. Mark knocked lightly on the open door. "Coffee's on the table," he said. "And we're not alone." A man stepped in behind him, tall, lean, early 40s, with quiet eyes that scanned the room in a single sweep. "Emily, this is Jack Donovan," Mark said. "Private investigator. He owes me a favor." Jack gave a small nod. "Miss Carter, I've looked into the circumstances of your disappearance. Let's say your husband left a digital trail big enough to fill a courtroom." Emily gripped her mug. "What did he do?" Jack opened a leather folder and spread the papers across the table. Printed emails, payment records, a psychiatric report stamped confidential. "This is the evaluation that put you away," he said. "Completely fabricated. Dr. Evelyn Marks, the psychiatrist listed, was paid through a shell company tied to your husband's account." He flipped another sheet. $250,000 wired to Dr. Paul Reynolds, the facility director, one day after your admission. The same day your assets transferred to a temporary management trust. Signed by Ryan and co-signed by his mother. Emily's stomach twisted. She planned this. Evelyn did. Jack nodded. "She orchestrated it. Ryan executed it. Your father's death left billions in flux. They couldn't risk you running Carter Industries." Mark leaned forward, eyes sharp. "This goes deeper, Emily. The judge who approved your commitment, Leonard Grayson, he's been connected to other questionable cases. Jack's already flagged him to the state ethics board." Emily stared at the papers. Each page was another wound, but this time the bleeding stopped at evidence. Her hands shook. "They wanted me gone, out of the way, and they almost won." Mark rested a hand on her shoulder. "They didn't. You're here. That's the difference." Jack closed the folder. We'll deliver this to the authorities, but first, we need to ensure your safety. Once they realize you're alive, they'll panic. I've lived through worse, Emily said quietly. I'm done hiding. Mark smiled faintly. Richard would have said the same thing. Jack stood. Then it's settled. Tonight I'll contact a federal agent I trust. Once we hand this over, it's only a matter of time before Ryan and Evelyn face charges. Emily looked out the cabin window. The forest stretched wide and golden under the morning sun. For weeks, the world had been a cage. Now it was open ground again. She thought of Lily, still inside that place, still fighting. Can we get her out too? She asked softly. Jack hesitated, then nodded. If she's still there, we'll find her, I promise. Tears stung her eyes, but this time they weren't from fear. Thank you. Mark poured another cup of coffee, setting it down beside her. You'll need strength. This won't be clean, and it won't be quick, but when the truth comes out, they'll never recover. Emily inhaled deeply. The steam from the mug curled between them, fragile but real. For the first time since her father's death, she felt something steady inside her, not vengeance, not grief, but purpose. They tried to erase me, she said quietly. Now I'll make sure the world remembers every detail. By evening, the cabin had turned from a refuge into a war room. Papers covered the wooden table, bank statements, transcripts, falsified medical reports, all proof that Ryan and Evelyn had sold their souls for money. Jack packed everything neatly into a folder stamped evidence. They won't see this coming, he said. The moment we hand this over, they'll be finished. Emily stood by the window, arms crossed. Not yet, she said quietly. I need to hear him. I need him to know I remember. Mark hesitated. Emily, you don't have to. Yes, I do. Her voice was calm, but her hands trembled slightly. He made me believe I was losing my mind. He deserves to hear the truth from me before they take him. Jack handed her a burner phone. If you're sure, call from this. I'll record everything. Emily took a breath, dialed the number that still lived in her memory. It rang twice before his voice filled the line. Emily? Ryan sounded shocked, then relieved. Oh my God, is it really you? Where are you? I've been worried sick. Stop, she cut in. Don't lie. I know everything, Ryan. Silence. Then a nervous laugh. Emily, what are you talking about? You've been through so much, maybe… Don't, she said sharply. I know about the fake evaluation, the bribes, the payments to Dr. Reynolds. You and your mother tried to erase me. You locked me away like I was a problem you could medicate into silence. He inhaled hard. It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that, Emily snapped. You drugged me, Ryan. You let them keep me prisoner while you signed my name on documents you forged. I didn't want to lose everything, he shouted suddenly. Evelyn said it was the only way to secure the company until you were ready to handle it. I thought… You thought I'd never come back, she said coldly. You thought you could bury me under your greed and call it love. On the other end of the line, his voice cracked. I loved you, Emily. I still do. Please, just tell me where you are. We can fix this. She laughed once, softly, bitterly. You can't fix what you destroyed. The police will be there soon. Tell Evelyn I said hello. Emily, please. She hung up. The cabin fell silent except for the soft hum of the fridge. Jack looked up from the recorder. That's enough to seal his fate. His confession is on tape. Emily's shoulders sagged with a mix of relief and exhaustion. Then let's finish this. Mark glanced at his watch. The warrants are already issued. They'll move tonight. Outside, the last light of dusk spread across the trees, pale and gold. Emily stepped onto the porch, breathing in the cold air. The world felt heavier, but also clearer, like something that had been out of focus finally snapped into place. For the first time, She didn't feel afraid of the dark. She felt ready for it. Behind her, Jack's phone buzzed. He answered, listened, then nodded. "It's done," he said. "They're surrounding the Bennett estate now." Emily closed her eyes. Somewhere miles away, the house she once called home was filling with sirens. Justice had finally begun to move. The night cracked open with blue and red lights. Police cruisers rolled down the quiet street of Lake Oswego, tires whispering against the wet asphalt. At the center of it all stood the Bennett mansion, tall, elegant, and hollow at its core, much like the family inside. Emily watched from across the road, hidden in the dark interior of Jack's car. Her pulse kept time with the flashing lights. "They're going in now," Jack said softly, lowering the binoculars. The front door opened to the echo of knocking fists and shouted commands. "Police! Search warrant!" Ryan appeared first, barefoot, face pale. Evelyn followed, wrapped in a silk robe, her hair perfect even in panic. "Ryan Bennett, Evelyn Bennett, you're under arrest for conspiracy, fraud, unlawful confinement, and bribery." The officer's voice was firm, clipped, merciless. Ryan tried to speak. "This is a misunderstanding. I was—" "Save it for your lawyer," the officer said, twisting his arms behind him for the cuffs. Evelyn didn't resist. She only straightened her shoulders, chin high, like a queen surrendering her throne. Her eyes swept over the crowd forming on the sidewalk, curious neighbors, flashing cameras, and then paused, as if sensing Emily's presence somewhere in the dark. Inside the car, Emily froze, the weight of years pressed down, trust broken, love turned poison. Ryan's voice broke through the noise. "Emily! Emily, please!" He scanned the shadows, desperate, but she didn't move. She just watched, silent. The officers led them down the front steps. Flashbulbs exploded. Reporters shouted questions. Evelyn's mouth tightened into a single line. Ryan looked lost, half a man stripped of lies. Mark exhaled beside her. "It's over." Emily shook her head slowly. "No, it's justice. Over comes later." When the police cars pulled away, their lights faded into the night. And with them went the years of control, of silence, of fear. Emily opened the car door, stepping out into the cold. Her shoes sank into the wet gravel. The mansion loomed across the street, its windows black now, a hollow monument to everything she'd survived. Jack joined her, hands in his coat pockets. "You did it," he said quietly. "You took back your life." Emily nodded, voice barely a whisper. "I didn't do it alone." She thought of her father, of Lily, of everyone who'd held her up when she had nothing left. "People think strength means never breaking," she said softly. "But it's the breaking that teaches you how to stand again." The wind carried her words away. Mark looked at her and smiled, eyes tired but proud. "Your father would have been proud too." Emily turned toward the horizon, where the first hints of dawn colored the clouds. It was over. Not clean, not simple, but true. And for the first time in a long while, she could breathe without fear. Morning sunlight spilled through the cabin window, warm and soft on Emily's face. For the first time in months, she woke without fear of footsteps or locks. The silence wasn't hollow anymore. It was peace. She stood on the porch, wrapped in a sweater Mark had found for her. Birds called in the distance. The air smelled of pine and coffee. Every sound felt like proof she'd survived. Jack appeared behind her, phone in hand. "The news broke," he said. "Every network's running the story. Fraud, false imprisonment, bribery. They're finished." Emily exhaled, shoulders trembling. "And Lily?" Jack smiled. "Already out. The FBI raided the facility last night. She's safe. She asked about you." Tears slipped down Emily's cheeks. "She deserves her life back too." Mark stepped outside, holding a small box. "These were your father's," he said, handing it to her. Inside lay an old watch and a folded note in Richard Carter's handwriting. "If you're reading this, it means you've learned what strength really is." Emily traced the words, eyes wet, but steady. "He always knew," she whispered. Over the next weeks, she rebuilt piece by piece. Carter Industries Board reinstated her as CEO. She cleared the company's debts, restarted her father's scholarship fund, and opened a new foundation named the Lily Trust to help women trapped by abuse or corruption find freedom again. When Lily visited, they walked by the river in quiet understanding. "You saved me," Emily said. Lily shook her head. "You saved yourself. I just lit the way." In time, laughter returned. So did color. One afternoon, Emily stood before a new building, Carter Innovation Center, glass gleaming under the Oregon sky. Cameras flashed, but this time she didn't flinch. She smiled, confident, whole. Her speech was short. "My father taught me that steel isn't strong because it's flawless," she said. "It's strong because it's forged through fire. I know now. People are the same." Applause rippled through the crowd. As evening fell, she lingered by the river, the same spot where she'd once begged for help on a payphone. The city lights shimmered across the water, and for the first time, she didn't see loss. She saw life waiting to be lived. She closed her eyes, breathing in the night. The fear was gone, the past was done, and Emily Carter was free. 6 months later, Portland glowed with early summer light. The Carter Building, once a monument of grief, now pulsed with life again. New faces, new voices, new beginnings. Emily stood by the corner office window that used to belong to her father. The skyline stretched before her. Bridges, glass towers, and the steady hum of a city that had finally begun to feel like home again. On her desk sat 2 photos, one of her father smiling in his hard hat, and one of Lily, taken the day she opened her own design studio in Seattle. Between them lay a plaque engraved with words Emily had written herself. "Strength is not born from power, but from surviving what tried to break you." Mark entered quietly, holding a folder. "Quarterly numbers. They're strong, stronger than ever." Emily smiled. "Not just numbers, Mark. This time, they mean something." He nodded. "You've rebuilt everything your father dreamed of." Emily looked out the window. "Maybe, but what matters more is that I rebuilt myself." Across the city, a soft breeze moved through the trees. Life, finally, was simple again. Not perfect, but honest. Later that evening, she walked along the waterfront where the lights reflected in ripples of gold. Her phone buzzed with a message from Lily. "Dinner soon. I owe you a toast." Emily smiled, typing back, "You owe me nothing. Just bring dessert." As she slipped the phone into her pocket, she thought of her father's favorite saying, "Build it strong enough to carry someone else's weight." Now, she finally understood it. Her life wasn't just built to endure, it was built to help others stand. She looked up at the fading sunset. For the first time, she felt her father there, not as a ghost, but as a quiet pride resting in her chest. Emily whispered, "I kept my center, Dad." The wind stirred, the city lights blinked, and the world, at last, felt whole again. Even after everything, Emily Carter never thought of herself as a hero. Heroes she'd once believed were the people who never broke, but life had taught her something quieter and truer. Strength isn't about never falling, it's about who reaches down inside the darkness and stands up again. There were nights when she woke to the echo of the asylum doors slamming shut, memories that whispered, "You shouldn't have survived," and yet, she had. Every scar reminded her that survival wasn't luck, it was choice. Every tear had been a promise, that one day she'd turn pain into purpose. Today, the world knew her not as Richard Carter's daughter, not as the woman who vanished, but as the woman who rebuilt everything that had been stolen. Carter Industries stood stronger than ever, but its heart had changed. No more boardroom greed, no more silent fear. It had become what her father always wanted it to be, a place that built more than steel. It built people. Each year, on the anniversary of her father's death, Emily visited the small lake cabin where it all began, the same place she'd once hidden, terrified. Now, it was peaceful. Pine trees reflected in the still water, the wind carrying the scent of rain. She'd sit on the old wooden steps, close her eyes, and listen. To the birds, to the quiet, to her own heartbeat steady and free. Sometimes Lily joined her, laughing about the city life, teasing her about the endless meetings. Sometimes Mark stopped by with reports and good coffee, but often Emily came alone, to remember and to be grateful. Because the truth was simple. Everything they'd done to destroy her had only built her stronger. The lies, the fear, the walls, all of it became the foundation she stood on now. She whispered into the wind, "You can take everything from me, except the will to rise." And the world seemed to answer back, not with words, but with the calm of understanding. When she finally stood, the sun touched the horizon, gold spilling across the lake like a promise. She smiled, quiet and certain, the kind of smile that comes from peace, hard-earned, because she knew what comes after survival isn't just living, it's choosing to live well. Lesson: when the people you trust most betray you, when the world breaks around you, don't let it break the truth of who you are. Strength isn't loud. It's the whisper that says, "Get up," when no one's watching. It's the courage to rebuild, to forgive, and to begin again.